Hey everybody, welcome to Ben's Blades. I hope you're all doing really well. Today, we're going to do something of a disassembly in chat. I'm going to take apart this knife right here, clean it up, and put it back together. It's been quite a long time since this knife has had any serious maintenance. This is the Zero Tolerance 0393 Stonewashed. And this is, how do I want to put this? It is among the oldest knives in my collection. I think it's been in my collection among the longest of any knife. It's probably number 2 or 3 that I picked up when I started really getting into folding knives back in, I think, 2018. And it's got a serial number of 59. That's pretty low. I mean, I've got knives that have serial numbers that are even lower than that. I'm not sure if you can see that. But it's got a serial number of 0059. It is in S35VN. It is roughly a 3.5 inch blade, stone-washed, harpoon spanto. It's got G10 scales. Unlike a lot of my knives, this actually has no modifications to it. I, at least in recent years, have been having serious problems finding spare parts. And so that has put this knife square in the category of less used. But nonetheless, it's been sitting around for a while, collecting dust, being carried rarely. And so I think it's time to take it apart and clean it, re-lubricate it. And I think we're also going to talk about, what am I even doing here? Like, this is a new YouTube channel. Like, why am I here? Why is this YouTube channel even a thing? We're going to talk about it. So, before we do that, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about behavior of this knife. We have a knife that is it drop shutty? Not quite. It's slick enough that it will drop shut with a little bit of motivation. We have actually, I take that back. We have side-to-side blade play. This thing is a bit loose, not gonna lie. I am surprised to find that out. I haven't carried this knife in a while, and we have side-to-side blade play. That's interesting. What's the centering like? Ooh, we have some off-center on this. It is just ever so slightly favoring the right side of the knife. So I think it's, suffice it to say, this knife needs to be tightened down a bit. And we're going to hopefully take care of that today, too. Okay, what do we need? What do we need? I think I need a T8 for the pivot. Let's just go ahead and assume that I need a T8 for the pivot. And I don't think I'm just going to use my Mac Tools mini ratchet, even if I don't think I need it, because the pivot is clearly loose. And then we're going to need some T6 on the body screws. Yeah. All right, let's crack this fucker open. See what we got here. It's been a minute. Oh, yeah. That was a really loose pivot. I didn't need this Mac driver at all. So, let's get that out of here. And that's already got a bit. And I'm just going to grab this Wera Stubby driver. I don't use this that often unless I really need some torque. But let's go ahead and loosen it with this. There we go. Set that right back there. Actually, let me open this up because these tend to be easier to take apart with the blade deployed. So we're going to go ahead and do this that way. And try to get in here. I can't find replacement screws for this, and so I'm trying to be really careful not to gouge or mar the screws or strip them out. So hopefully we're not going to be doing any of that today. I kind of wish I had gotten the older version of this, the 0392, because that version of this knife would have accepted Hinderer parts. Versus this one, I don't think it does. So we have G10 scales that are screwed down onto, is this titanium? I don't think it is. Actually, it is. This is a jewelry magnet, by the way. And these liners are titanium, so that's cool. I didn't remember or know for sure. Is this T8? Yeah, it looks like we have T8 on these, I'm going to call them inner body screws. I'll take these apart. So what am I doing here? Why am I even doing a YouTube knife channel? Well, I had a lot of camera equipment and lighting equipment left over from a failed attempt at creating a hobbyist YouTube channel out of another hobby. So I had something that I could do with all this equipment, and then I had a knife hobby that was kind of frozen on ice. I had stopped collecting knives for a while, and I don't know why I'm doing that. I got a T6 right over here. I stopped collecting knives for a while and focused on more outdoor type stuff, hiking, snowshoeing in the wintertime, a lot of kayaking, camping, biking, that sort of thing. And so I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the knife world for a while. And then when I kind of botched that attempt at a different hobbyist YouTube channel, I had all this equipment laying around and I was kind of getting into knives again. Knives, really? Am I 5 years old? I was getting into knives again. And I was like, well, why not just like do a YouTube channel on that? I think this pivot needs to be, I think I need to take it apart from the other side first. So I decided, well, I've got all this equipment. I could really easily set something up, you know, on my disassembly table and just film what I'm doing instead of doing it, you know, in silence. So here we are. Based on how my YouTube channel is performing in a handful of videos, somehow I highly doubt if this channel is going to lead anywhere. But that doesn't mean I'm going to just go away either. Let me make sure this is going to focus. I am going to do content until I run out of content. And, you know, either it'll take off and a lot of people will watch it, or it'll only be my friends and family that watch it. And at that point, I guess, who cares? You know, as long as I'm entertaining somebody. I don't need this to get big, huge, and go viral. I guess I just don't need it. I'm just checking to make sure we don't have surface rust, because I do have knife projects where I need to take off surface rust. So the pivot comes out without a lot of trouble. And here's our bearings. Things running on bearings. You know, at one point I thought about putting skiff bearings in here, but I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But yeah, you really cannot get replacement parts for this knife. I've tried to find replacement scales, replacement screws, and a lot of other things. And it really looks like it's kind of just not a thing, because it's been discontinued for long enough. Even XXX Adrenaline XXX in Australia is not making spare parts for this knife anymore. Even he stopped because it's been discontinued for so long. I have to imagine nobody's asking for it. Are these standoffs going to come out? Are they captured? No, they come out. They're just in there really tight. Okay. Let's see if I can pull this one out. Oh, interestingly, that standoff is stuck. It doesn't want to come out. I mean, I suppose it's not that big of a deal. I'm just taking this thing apart to clean it up and lubricate parts and put it back together so that it's in good shape. Let's use the Slip 2000 725, as always. And we're just going to take this thing. Let's do the underside of the G10. Just give that a quick rub down and let it dry. The interesting thing about Slip 2000 725 that I use on practically all my knives is that it's really good at getting rid of oil and grease and things like that. It'll tend to neutralize that sort of stuff. So you want to make sure that you're relubricating parts that need it. If you have a knife that, will corrode easily also, and you use this stuff, you really want to chase it with something, well, like this right here, like the LPS2 that I use on my blades whenever the knife is assembled back together, just because it will strip off all manner of oil and grease and any kind of a loosely protective coating that might be on whatever it is that you're wiping off. So it just completely strips it out, which is good if you're trying to start over. That's kind of what I'm trying to do when I take apart and do heavy cleaning on a knife like this. I'm really trying to start over and get everything to, to a baseline spot, and then re-lubricate and re-oil and, things like that. I suppose I could change out the pocket clip on this, but I don't know. I've been tending to want to replace pocket clips lately with ones that are more, that are stainless and use more stainless parts. Well, if I could find stainless screws for this thing, or titanium screws, raw titanium, then I might go that route. But because there's so few parts available for this exact knife, it makes it less of an incentive to do customization or upgrades or things like that on this knife. If you can't really do anything to it besides replace like one or two parts, I'm just not about that. I may as well just leave it in stock condition. And there's a couple knives I have that are just kind of left in stock configuration. I've got a Spyderco Manix 2 that is being left in a stock configuration, mostly because I just don't feel like taking that thing apart. It's a major league pain in the ass to take apart a Spyderco Manix. This right here is ALG Go Juice, so I use that rather than KPL for places where it's going to matter, because in my opinion, Go Juice is better than KPL. So it has a little bit better staying power. It's slicker. It lasts longer. It's just a better lubricant in my personal opinion. So I'm actually going to put some Slip 2000 Extreme Weapons grease on the detent ball, and then I'm going to put just a tiny bit along the detent path, because I choose to lubricate those parts with grease instead of oil, because you want those lubricated parts to be lubricated with something that's going to have even more staying power, because even the best oils will tend to creep and not stay in place, certainly not very well. So it's looking like we have to put this side back together first, or no, this side. I'm just going to leave that out. Let's go ahead and put, you know what, I'm going to wipe down these screws right here, because these still have Loctite in them. From back when I used to use Loctite fairly regularly. Well, now I really don't use Loctite anymore on my knives. I've found that most screws just don't need it. The only time I ever use Loctite is like maybe on a Hinderer or a Chris Reeve knife for like the pivot screw to keep it in place. And even then, like that's rare. Like with this knife, I would have not bothered using Loctite. I would have just tightened down the pivot and put it in the pocket and went about my day. So let's go ahead and put these screws back in. Make sure, do these need it? Yeah, these two need it too. I'm going to go ahead and scrub the Loctite off of these as well. I haven't had this knife apart in so long, I kind of forgot that the scales were covering up a set of subscrews, if that makes any sense. So there we go. So yeah, I had a, not to shift gears randomly, weirdly, I had an attempt at making a outdoor YouTube channel, and it just became unwieldy. Like you were reliant on the weather being good and traveling and having time off of work to go do those things, and it just was too much. Versus this, I can do this in my house on any day of the week, at any time of day. So it's a lot more approachable as a hobby. Plus I've got who knows how many at this point pent up knife projects. These I think are, these are slightly longer, so yes, I think those are the pocket clip screws. Let me wipe this off real quick while I'm at it. But yeah, I have a lot of pent up knife projects that I want to work on. I have knives that have been waiting for 6 or 7 months to have upgraded scales put on, upgraded screws put on, pocket clips, things like that, just because I knew I was going to be starting this YouTube channel, and so I chose to wait to put those upgrades on my knives. And so I've got a whole box full of just knife parts waiting to be put on folding knives that I own. I think I made a mistake. I can't tighten down that other screw now because the pocket clip is covering it up. So I gotta take that off real quick and make sure that screw is tightened down more, because I don't want that screw to even think about backing out. There we go. That's at least snug. It's kind of a shame that knives like this will just tend to come and go from the zero tolerance lineup. I mean, I get it. You know, they're a large knife company and they have to keep releasing new knives, and they can't make everything forever. Frankly, I think it's impressive and almost amazing that they've been still making the 0562. I figured they would have got rid of even that and moved on to something else. This knife, for what it's worth, is the zero tolerance take on the Hinderer Eclipse. And the 05, this is the 0393, the 0392, from what I remember, was even closer to it. It shared a lot of parts with the Hinderer Eclipse. There was a lot of parts that would fit on it. that were meant for the Hinderer Eclipse. I actually don't have a Hinderer Eclipse, even though sometimes I find myself wanting one. I have 3 XM18s and 2 Hinderer Jurassics, but no Eclipse. Maybe someday. Okay, set that down there. Get a little bit of lube in there. If I over lube it, wow. You'd think one day I'd learn how to speak proper English. If I over lubricate this, I'm not super worried about it because the extra oil is just going to fall out. And then I'll just have to wipe it down periodically with a paper towel. And eventually everything will settle where it needs to go. And so anybody who tells you don't over lubricate your knives, well, why? Why not? It's just going to fall out for you to clean it up later. And then inevitably somebody's going to freak out like, oh, you're going to attract dirt and grime and it's going to lock up. Oh, bullshit. I've been doing this for years and I have never had that problem. So keep your pants on. Okay, let's try to put this thing down. I think I need to, well, I thought I needed to maybe close, just to be safe. Let's make sure it's like halfway closed and clamp this down to the extent that we can. And, oh, I need to, I almost forgot. I always keep forgetting to do this. I have to partially disassemble it to... So what I'm doing is I'm putting the Slip 2000 Extreme Weapons grease along the detent path. And again, like I'm going to flip it a couple times and this stuff is going to settle where it needs to go. And the excess will just be wiped off. So I'm not super worried about it. There we go. Now, let's try to put this back on. And we're going to try to get it dead center. I mean, we'll give it a reasonable shot to get it dead center. Awesome. And of course, my dumb ass has parts left over. Wow. Just wow. Like, I'd be able to get this video done in a decent amount of time so people can get out of here. If I would do it the right way, that'd be awesome. People staring at their fucking phone screens going, dude, there's parts left over. Hello? You get talking and rambling and stuff gets missed. I mean, the knife probably would have functioned without it, but you don't want to have a knife put back together with parts left over. I've been on carnival rides before that had parts left over. You want to talk about scaring the ever-loving shit out of somebody? Let's talk about that. Okay, put this back on. There we go. I used to carry this knife fairly regularly, but once it got discontinued, I decided I liked it too much to just wear it out. For some reason, I was just like, you know, maybe this should take a back seat, and you should carry more regularly knives that are a little less rare and carry a little less sentimental value. Because with the low serial number and it being an early knife in my collection, I just didn't want to go that route. Okay. Now we're kind of favoring the left side, which is interesting. Let me tighten this down a little bit more. Try to see if we can get it centered. Okay. So right about there is kind of where it needs to be. We are dead center. We have no blade play. And are we drop shut? Oh, we're about back where we were. I mean, I could easily just like do that and it's going to drop shut without a lot of trouble. It's not going to, you know, just fall shut by the force of gravity. I'm going to have to help it along, but this is a knife that has a wonderful detent. It feels great in the hand. The ergonomics are wonderful. The Eclipse and the Jurassic have just amazing ergos. It's really pretty awesome. Now, let's do the LPS2. And the LPS2 is going to lubricate the blade and provide maybe a little bit of extra corrosion resistance. I mean, it's S35 VN. It's not like it needs it, but it's going to leave kind of a short-term film on the blade that is just a nice finishing touch for, you know, if it's going to go in your pocket and stay there. Now, the first like 3 or 4 times you cut something, that's going to, you know, effectively take this off. But this is really good for if you're going to be in a place where there's a lot of corrosion going on, or if it's just going to go back, you know, in a display case or in storage, then you might consider spraying some of this on your blade. But there you have it. Zero Tolerance 0393 stonewashed harpoon spanto blade, 3.5 inches, S35 VN. This is an old dog that still has a lot of life left in it. So I am proud to have it, and it's going to stay in the collection for a very long time. This knife isn't going anywhere. All right, that's it. That's the video for today. Questions, comments, put them in the comments section of the video. Otherwise, do yourself a favor and carry a knife. I'll see you next time.